Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive. We're back here today with another edition of Rough Drafts. This week we get to draft full Block Ravnica. So starting off with Ravnica's City of the Guilds in Pack 1, moving into Guild Pact in Pack 2, and then finally Dissension, the new pack in Pack 3. So what this means is we get the final 3 guilds in Dissension. So we get Simic, we get Azurius, and we get Rakdos. So much like we talked about last week, a lot of drafting Ravnica successfully is figuring out how you want to navigate the guild structure. Almost all the best cards are multicolor cards, especially at the lower rarities. Those are where the best commons and uncommons are. So you really want to figure out how you want to manage the guilds. Do you go Dimir in Pack 1, so you can go into Orzhov in Pack 2, and then jump into Azurius in Pack 3 and have an Esper deck? Or do you jump into a wedge or a 3-color combination in Pack 1? Take cards, for example, from both, I don't know, Naya, for example. So you take Boros cards and you take Selesnya cards. And then you're going to have a guild in Pack 2 with Stomping Grounds, but in then Pack 3 you are guildless and you won't be able to benefit from the multicolor cards. So that's a lot of what this format is about, is figuring out how to navigate the structure. So let's look at this pack. Bloodletter Quills are rare. 3-mana artifact, put a blood counter on it. You draw a card and lose a life for each blood counter on it, and then you can pay 1 and a blue to remove a blood counter. So interesting, expensive card draw, but it really adds up if you don't want to lose a ton of life. Devouring Light is solid, especially in the white tokeny guilds. There's a bunch of really good cards for Boros. Thundersong Trumpeter is very strong. Sky Knight Legionnaire is very strong. Gather Courage is fine. Overall, this pack is not very inspiring. I don't think Bloodletter Quill is first pickable. Devouring Light is probably the best card in the pack. Just exile and attacking your blocking creature. I guess we can take that. I mean, it's just the most playable song. There's no bounce lands, no signets. We'll take Devouring Light. Now, for Pack 2, we get interesting. Bell Tower Sphinx is solid. 2/5 flyer. It mills whenever it takes damage. Clutch of the Undercity is decent. Return a permanent to its owner's hand. Its controller loses 3 life. Lurking Informant is an alright 2-drop. There's a couple of good Selesnya cards. Conclave Phalanx and Scatter the Seeds is one of the best cards in the format. If we go into Selesnya, where does that leave us? In Pack 2, we get not much. I don't know. I'm not excited about going into Selesnya, but we might have to just because Scatter is the best card in the pack. I would rather be like, is it or something? Alright, we're going to take Scatter and see what develops. Well, there's a Compulsive Research. I would like to take Compulsive Research. I probably will take Compulsive Research. Drift is fine. Junk Troller is not great. Instill Fervor at the beginning of your end step. Sacrifice this creature unless it attack. Crown of Convergence. Put the top card of your library revealed. As long as the top card of your library is a creature card, creatures you control that share color with it get +1/+1. Put the top card of your library in the bottom. That's not bad. Well, I mean, it's sort of bad, but not that bad. I think I'm just taking Compulsive Research and seeing what develops. Now there's a Disembowel, one of the premier removal spells, or a decent removal spell. Flight of Fancy is another good card draw spell. Blood Funnel, not playable. Almost played this for Against the Odds once. That is a tough one to build around. Non-creature spells cost 2 less to cast. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you have to sack a creature. Also Boros Signet, but I'm going to take Disembowel here. So we are firmly in 4 colors after 4 picks. We just need a red card, and we will be 5 colors and 5 picks. So we'll see where this develops. Well, there's a Stinkweed Imp. Stinkweed Imp is very good. Tatterdrake actually isn't bad. Boros Garrison is a bounce land. Nullstone Gargoyle is super expensive. 9-mana 4/5 flyer. Whenever the first non-creature spell of a turn is cast, you counter it. I think I'm going to take Stinkweed here. So we're kind of going into black, and then we really don't know. In Pack 2, the black guild is Orzhov. The blue guild is Izzet, and the white guild is also Orzhov. But then in Pack 3, so I guess we could be heading towards Esper and not playing Scatter the Seeds. We'll see. So now we get Vidalcan Entrancer is much worse in full block when it's harder to build the mill deck. Necroplasm kind of hard to work with. Benevolent Ancestor, Golgari Rot Farm. I think it's either Tatterdrake, Appeal from Reality, or Golgari Rot Farm. I might just take this. I'm just going to take the bounce land, I think. Man, Tatterdrake and Vidalcan Entrancers are going around the table. I'm going to take Consult the Necrosages for card draw, but keep in mind that if those table, I will definitely jump on them, and we might still try to beat the mill deck. Flight of Fancy, more card draw. So we got lots of card draw, which is kind of sweet. I think people moved into the red guilds. Usually there's a ton of red cards left in these packs. Ethereal Usher is super expensive. 6 mana, 2/3. You can make a creature not block, and it also transmutes. I think I'm just going to take Terrarion. We can take the Artifact and Enchantment Removal. We got a Rot Farm, so we can splash it. Man. Well, it looks like the mirror is open. I'm going to take Clutch of the Undercity, the bounce spell that transmutes and makes the player lose life. Let's see if those Entrancers table. That would be too absurd. Maybe no one's going to try to go into mill because of the full block structure. We can take Muddle, I guess. Might be playable. Start with it in the sideboard, though. Mortarpede, 4/1 means it dies really easily, even though you can use it to get in a big hit by making everything block it. I'm going to take Dizzy Spell, I guess. I guess we can take Purebreds over another Dizzy Spell. Infectious Host and Dizzy Spell are pretty bad. Well, it looks like the blue cards are not going to table. The Entrancers. Well, the good news is we have a ton of card draw. In here, I'll just take a Shambling Shell. I don't think we're going to play it. And then Dryad's Crest to the sideboard. So, we will see. Most likely, we will be taking Orzhov cards this pack. But not necessarily. We could still go another direction. If we go Orzhov this pack, then we can move into Azorius in pack 3. Another option would be to kind of just muddle our way through this pack without a guild, and then try to take green cards in pack 3 when we have Simic. That said, Pillory of the Sleepless is a very good removal spell. I think it's even better than Dousing Gloom. Vacuum Out also is interesting. Get to potentially bounce multiple creatures. I think I'm just going to take Pillory, though. Pillory is very good. Now we get Train of Thought for even more card draw. Repeal is pretty solid. Bounces something, draws a card. Moratorium Stone, I don't think we want the Graveyard Hate. Is it Guildmage is pretty good. You can copy instant spells or sorcery spells. There's a Boiler Works as a bounce land. I'm leaning towards Repeal or the bounce land. I guess it's possible we could move into Black-Red in pack 3. I'm going to take the bounce land. The Repeal might table. I do not mind having bounce land. So far we have a ton of card advantage, but we're very, very low on creatures. We have a Stinkweed, and that is it. So we're going to have to pick up some creatures to actually kill our opponent at some point. Right now we can just basically bounce and draw cards. Well, there's another Repeal. There's another bounce land. There's a Blind Hunter. When it enters the battlefield or the creature it haunts dies, target player loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. That's not bad. Also an Orzhov Guildmage. Might just take Blind Hunter here. We do need creatures. Yeah. We'll take it, see what happens. Then we get Ghost Warden. I don't know if we have enough creatures to make this good. Pyromatics can be sweet if you have enough mana, or enough red mana, which you probably won't. Witchmaw Nephilim. Whenever you cast a spell, put 2 counters on it if its power is 10 or greater. And it attacks. It gets Trample. Is it Signet? Isn't bad. Could take that. Another Train of Thought. I think we'll wheel at least one of those Train of Thoughts if we want it. Here, Shrieking Grotesque is pretty strong. I don't know if we want Tibor and Lumia. Probably just take Shrieking Grotesque. It's a on-curve flyer, makes our opponent discard a card. Another Nephilim. When it deals combat damage, draw that many cards, discard a card, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Pay 1 and discard a card. Vertigo Spawn, Defender, Castigate, Moderate. I guess we can take Torch Strike. Better when we can pump it, though. I guess we could go Black-Red in pack 3. We don't have that many white cards, but we do have some good ones. Castigate or Torch Drake? Still not going to take Train of Thought. We'll get those eventually, I think, if we want them. Can take Absolver Thrall. Not super exciting, but destroys an enchantment when it enters the battlefield or when the creature it haunts dies. Choose target permanent opponent controls. Search that player's library for a card with the same name. Put it on the battlefield under your control. And then that player shuffles his or her library. Hey. Sounds risky and limited. Whenever it blocks a creature, you may turn Ether Plasm to its owner's hand. If you do, put a creature card from your hand on the battlefield, blocking that creature. Interesting. When it becomes a target of a spell or ability, return it to its owner's hand. I guess we can take... yeah, we'll take that. Ooh, is it Chronarch and Flectomancer and Torchdrake? And Skyrider Trainee. Jeez. Returns an instant or sorcery from our graveyard to our hand. I guess we can just be 4-color. We got 2 bounce lands and the Izzet Signet. And if we're going 4-color, we will have access to Izzet and Azorius in pack 3, which is kind of sweet. The cost is our mana. It will be a little janky, but the upside is we get a Izzet Guildmage that doesn't do anything. It's just a 2/2 for 2. Costs double blue or double red or some combination of it. I think we'll still take it though. Shattering Spree is worth like half a tick. Still don't think I'm going to take it. I think I'll just finally take a Train of Thought. So we have lots of ways to draw cards, have a couple bounce lands. Don't have any great creatures is my main worry. We can draw cards, we can kill things a little bit, but our best creature is probably a 2/2 for 5 in Izzet Chronarch, or a 1/2 for 3 in Stinkweed Imp. So it'd be nice to get some actual, like, powerful creatures. Otherwise, it's just going to take us a long time to close out the game. We're going to have to really control people. We might even have too much card draw. Train of Thought, Compulsive Research, and Flight of Fancy, and Consult the Necrosages. Well, this deck is going to be interesting. It looks fun. It looks like the kind of deck that I will enjoy playing. Whether or not it's good, I'm not sure. Do we want to take Witchmaw Nephilim? Man, it seems so bad. Everything else seems bad as well, though. We'll take it. I'm going to put it in the sideboard for now. I'll take Runeboggle. Runeboggle isn't good, but catching someone with a Runeboggle is awesome. When someone gets Runeboggled, they know it. Alright, what do we get in pack 3? Hopefully we just open an Infernal Tutor, which is like 40 ticks almost, 35 ticks. Celestial Ancient. So 3/3 flyer. Whenever we cast an enchantment spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So what do we have for enchantment spells? Flight of Fancy. Pillory of the Sleepless. So what other options do we have? In red we have Rakdos Signet. I guess Hit Run. There's a Rakdos Cranarium as a bounce land. Crackling Flames, 3 damage to a creature or player. If you're Hellbent, does 5 damage. Probably fine. I think I'm going to take Celestial Ancient. I've been saying we don't have enough powerful creatures. Well, that's fairly powerful. And we might be able to pick up a couple more enchantments along the way. What do we have here? Another Rakdos Signet, a Rakdos Ixplitter, which is pretty solid. Bond of Agony. Target creature becomes a frog with base power and toughness of 3/3 until end of turn. Well, double green is a deal breaker. Assault Zeppelin is also pretty good. 3/3 Flying Trample for 4. Good card. I also like Coiling Oracle. I think we're going to take Ixplitter. I like Ixplitter a lot. So we are just clearly 4-color at this point. Here we get Crackling Flames. Protection from multicolored. Macabre Waltz. Returns 2 creatures, but you discard a card. Each player draws 2 cards. Yeah, I think we just take Crackling Flames here as another removal spell. Now we get an off-color bounce land. Ragmuffin, sack a creature land, draw a card, activate this only if you have no cards in hand. We got so much card draw, I don't think we're ever going to be cardless. I might just take Simic Growth Chamber. That's the only card that really works for us. I could take Vesper Ghoul. Green mana doesn't really do much for us, but it is a bounce land. Alright, I'm sold. Simic Growth Chamber. Now we get another Ix-Splitter or a Helium Squirter. Destroy target multicolored permanent. I'm going to take another Ix-Splitter. Hopefully we get at least one of those signets back. Alright, what do we have? Sky Hussar. 3/4 flying. When it enters the battlefield, untap all creatures you control. Forecast, tap 2 white and or blue creatures. Draw a card. Good God. Yes, we want that. Not only is it a big flyer, but it draws us cards. I guess we can take Helium Squirter. It is a white and or blue creature to draw us cards. And those have moved way up in my pick order since we have this Sky Hussar. I really just want to draw cards now. Well, that's one thing this deck will do. Our deck will draw cards like crazy. Our mana is pretty bad. Unfortunately, our bounce lands have a lot of green mana in them, and we don't really need a green mana. Each player draws X cards. Forecast, reveal it. Each player draws a card. Ooh, Ocular Halo, enchant creature. Enchant creature has tap, draw a card. We can just draw our entire deck. We need a Laboratory Maniac. Actually, I'm probably taking Azorius First Wings. It is white and or blue, and a powerful 2-drop. So we're actually to the point where we're going to have to cut something. That's unexpected. Gain a life, discard a card, gain 3 life. Guess it's for getting you hellbent. We can take this Riot Spikes. 1 mana gives something -1, could be relevant. There are 1 toughness creatures in this format. Almibian still floating around. 2/1 flyer for 3, sack it, search your library for a basic land, put it into play tapped. We might take that. I mean, a 2/1 flyer for 3 isn't the worst, and we have double green bounce land, so we might someday activate it to fix our mana. So I guess theoretically we are now 5 color. Officially. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Rakdos signets are in a table. Sacrifice it, add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. Whenever you cast a multicolor spell, return it from your graveyard to your hand. No, we are staying away from green still. We'll take that protection from colors thing. I guess we'll take Vesper Ghoul. This Eidolon. So we're actually going to have to cut a couple cards. Overrule. Counterspell, it gains this life. Basically the Sphinx's Revelation of counterspells. And Delirium Skynes is the last pick. So 31, 28, we got to cut 5 cards from this pile of 5 color something. So we probably want to minimize certain mana. We have 16 creatures now? We went from having like no creatures to having all creatures, or many creatures. I guess we can cut this Petrahydrox, which seems pretty bad just because it bounces back to our hand pretty consistently. Clutch of Undercity, Blind Hunter, Cackling Flames, Torch Rake, Flight of Fancy, Absolver Throw, Helium Squirter, Sky Hussar, Chronarch, Overrule, Grotesque, Removal, Card Draw, Flyer, Mana Fixing, Removal, Card Draw, Ix-Splitters. Izzet Guildmage is probably one of our worst cards, actually. I guess I can get rid of Train of Thought, and maybe Izzet Guildmage. That means we have like no 2-drops, which is kind of bad. Our curve looks pretty horrible. I guess we can play this just as a bad 2-drop, just so for our curve purposes. We have many 3-drops. We should probably cut Vesper Ghoul. We still need to make 2 more cuts. We're going to actually have red mana for Torch Drake. Absolver Throw can be decent. Maybe Helium Squirter. And are we really going to play Overrule? It is a nice card to have in our hand. It does gain us life. I'm trying to find any justification I can for keeping it in our deck, because I like countering things and gaining life. And we're going to draw a lot of cards. Riot Spikes is probably one of the worst cards, but it is a good enchantment with Celestial Ancient, which kind of makes me want to keep it. I guess we could cut Silkwing Scout. Try like that. This is interesting. So we have mana costs that make my head hurt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 white mana symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black mana symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blue mana symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4 red mana symbols. Alright, well, we will see. No! Good old 4, 4, 3, 3 mana base. Are we really going to do this? Well, we got another blue source. We have a blue-red source. Let's add these and see what this looks like. Good lord. I think we can go down a red for a white. We want more white. This might be a case of us getting crushed by our own mana base. Well, we have a lot of card draw, so hopefully we can just force through our inconsistent mana base by drawing a ton of cards. So let's submit it like this. We'll be back with round 1 to see if this works.